City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
These guys are hungry for more. They are eager to win another one. They're not satisfied with that one title. They want more. They want to build a dynasty here.
Throws it late for the end zone. Kelsey wide open. Touchdown! Now being hit and sacked. Frank Clark got him.
Every conversation since the parade has been run it back and do it again. And hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Day at Arrowhead Stadium, Week 17, and this edition of Field Pass. Yep, the fans are ready. They know this game matters. As you look at the Super Bowl champion banner that was put up on the very first game of the season, Mitch Holthus with you, the voice of the Chiefs, along with the man we call the Barbershop, the Spider-Man, 10-year NFL veteran Shawn Barber. We're going to hear from Matt McMullen later in the show. He's got a special interview that will help you get ready for this game. But I'm going to tell you, Shop, for the Chiefs Kingdom, let's just put it out there. This game matters. If you don't think so, ask Andy Reid.
The game matters only because of one thing. It's the next game. It's the next man, the next game, the next opportunity. Every game matters when you talk about a championship mentality. And that's something we've been building since Andy Reid got here. It's never just looking down the road. It's not waiting for the playoff opponent or the playoff pitcher to play itself out. When you have an opportunity to touch the field between those white lines, you give it all you got and you play to the best of your abilities. You don't bench people. We don't hold people back. We don't do any of that stuff. We go out to win the ball game. It doesn't matter what the playoff seeding is. Yes, we got the number one seed lock. We got the bye. We got guys out here that's still playing to show that they belong in the NFL. If not this year, then in years to come.
We're going to lay all that out for you over the next half hour and tell you why it's important for players, for the Chiefs, for different reasons. But let's talk now just what we know about the Chiefs for sure. 14-1, best record in franchise history, number one seed. Teams are slugging it out right now trying to get into the playoffs. Chiefs are not only in, they have the only bye available in the AFC. Let's talk about the significance of getting 14 wins. Shop, when you get something, you do something that's not been done in 61 years, that's significant.
Man, I looked at that milestone, 14 wins. And since 1998, when the Broncos and Minnesota Vikings, the Broncos were 14-2, Minnesota Vikings went 15-1. They were only the Pittsburgh Steelers in 04, Indianapolis Colts in 05, the Green Bay Packers in 11, Colts in 09, and then the Panthers in 15 until obviously the New England Patriots went undefeated that one year. Not many teams win that many ball games in 1 year. It's very hard to do. And so when you have a chance to make a milestone, you're not worrying about tomorrow. Today we have a chance to get one more mark in that victory column. Let's get that 15th win. Let's make ourselves special, and let's go ahead and make history.
The other thing that's unique is Andy Reid, a Hall of Fame career, fifth winningest coach in the history of this league, had never won 14 games in a regular season. Now, he wants to win a 15th because that list of 15-1 gets real short. But for him to get a 14th regular season win and to do it here, also a big deal.
He's got all the eyes. Everybody's looking at him. What are we going to do? How are the Chiefs preparing ourselves for the postseason? Are we going to rest guys? Are we going to play guys? So we're setting the table. We're setting the standard for what every other team in the NFL is trying to do because we're trying to run it back-to-back, right? And everybody else is trying to meet us in Tampa Bay. So they want to know what we're doing, how we're doing it, so they can set their gauge off of how we're doing things.
As we speak, the specialists are on the field. You see Harrison Butker there working out with Tommy Townsend. And so some of the starters will be playing today. Some, not many, but again, the Chiefs wanting to win this game, and we're going to break it down for guys who will be setting, not only because of injury, but because of getting a coach's decision, and other guys who will suit up but won't necessarily play unless they're needed. Let's hope they're not needed. But what's interesting about this game, what's fascinating, is you look at 2013 and 2017, the Chiefs have been in this situation before. And there were guys in 2013, Eric Fisher, stepped up in this game in his rookie season. 17, it was Patrick Mahomes' debut. But it was guys like Demarcus Robinson or Tano Passanio. People didn't know who they were, and they stepped up in this game. So who steps up in this game and makes a statement, not only they belong, they can be given additional responsibility?
Because we have so much depth in the wide receiver position, We have depth in the tight end position and the running. Our skill players are playing for tomorrow. They're playing to show that they can, when a chance is given to them to hit the field, it doesn't matter to them the circumstances. They're able to go out and make plays. And that's what you hope to see today. You hope to see a team that's playing, executing in the playoff level. It doesn't matter if Pat Mahomes, it doesn't matter if it's Chad Henry who's under center accepting and who's throwing the ball. If you're a skill player out here running your routes, you want to run precise routes. You want to make sure that you get all your blocking assignments down. That's what we want to do at a high level here today.
Chiefs have written history every week this season. You can see at the bottom of the screen that list of 15-1 teams. There's one 16-0 team, the Patriots of 07, 6 15-1 teams. Again, Travis Kelce will be setting out today, getting some much-needed rest. I really think for Kelce, they need the rest for him more than anybody on this team. We know the injured guys. We're going to get to the inactives here in a second. But Travis Kelce needs this week of rest. He's had that throttle open for 2 years, Shop, and he's been a little bit beaten up, but he needs this day to back off.
And when you talk about a guy who's been on an Offensive Player of the Year campaign, Kelce has been playing at that level for, like you said, 2 seasons now, and if there's anybody who can take a week off, it should be Kelce. He deserves it, not only on the field, but off the field, because he's also our Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate.
Here's the other thing for those guys, for Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Tyrann Mathieu, and others. They get to coach the younger guys today. I said this is like stepping out of your body for a second. You're coming out of your body and looking at your world and realizing 2 things. 1, you don't take it for granted. And 2, you get to coach these guys up. Kelce's going to be helping Deion Yelder and Nick Keiser in this game.
We're going to have so many assistant coaches because, like you said, the starting players that don't play, they become coaches. So we're going to have more assistant coaches on the sideline than you've ever seen on a Chiefs game. Like you said, Honey Badger will be doing it. Some of our D linemen that are in there will be coaching the young guys up. And it's not just technique, it's motivation. Because they know these guys can go get it. And so they're going to be pushing for these guys to dig a little deeper, try a little harder, make sure you stay on side on defense, but be ready to go and give it your all each and every down.
Now, we're going to show you the inactive list for today. If you've been in some other time and space dimension, don't freak out when you see it, because you're going to go, what? Why is Patrick Mahomes inactive today? Why is Tyrann Mathieu inactive today? Well, it's because of a coach's decision of them setting out today. Now, there are some injured guys that need the rest to get ready to go, but here again, you've got almost 2.5 weeks for these players like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who needs the time to get back, possibly for the playoffs. Those guys, there's 5 guys on this list that are injured that need this in 2.5 weeks. And there are other guys, coaches just setting out. So don't freak out when you see the inactive list.
Yeah, let's see who it is. And once we figure out who it is, it's like you said, it's a coach's decision. That's when you want to see a guy on the inactive list. Not because of an injury or not because of a lack of participation. But what we've seen even earlier in games, we saw a receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go out through injury. A team that's in the playoffs. Mike Evans hyperextends his leg, setting a record as far as the number of consecutive 1,000-yard receiving yards. Setting that record, was it worth it? Is it worth it to lose him during the playoffs? I don't think so. I think if you had a chance to do it, Tampa Bay would much rather have him going into the playoffs, being healthy, than setting that record today. All
right, let's look at these inactives. You see it at the bottom of your screen. Healthy scratches are Patrick Mahomes, Tyrann Mathieu in this group. The other ones are all injuries. Sammy Watkins with a calf injury, Mike Remmers with a back injury, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with that high ankle sprain. Ben Neiman injured his hamstring last week at the Atlanta game. Tyreek Hill, precautionary with the hamstring issue. And I think I caught them all with the injuries with that group. So 5 on the 7 inactives that are injured. 3 are coaches' decisions. There will be other guys suited up today that aren't expected to play. You really don't want them to play. Travis Kelce, Eric Fisher, Frank Clark, Chris Jones among that list. Again, that is just, you only have 7 inactives. If you'd had 11, you'd put those guys on there.
Yeah, the bottom half of the roster was going to get a lot of reps today, and that's what we want to see. We want to see the guys that haven't had a lot of chance to go out on the field and show what they can do. They're going to get a lot of opportunity here today, and we want those guys to go out and show it. Show why they belong to be in the kingdom. They can make their presence known and show that they deserve to be able to play on this NFL level. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those number 2s and 3s get out on the field and show how they can play and perform at a high level here today.
Or guys who have played are given more responsibility, like Armani Watts. We saw Tyrann Mathieu. Armani Watts today has got to be the honey badger. So he gets more responsibility. Mike Dana is put in that role. Turk Wharton, they've played, but they need to get more responsibility. All right, what does this mean for the playoff picture? 3 games are going on right now, scrapping in the AFC, that are going to determine who gets in and who does not. And then there's 2 later games today. This is entering today, Shop. The best thing is you see the Chiefs in that 1 position, underlined in yellow. Great spot. Bye. Won't be playing next week. Buffalo and Pittsburgh have won their divisions. They are in 2 and 3. The rest are not in. We have 8 teams on this page. Only 7 will make it. Right now, Miami's getting clocked by Buffalo. They could get pushed out. Baltimore is winning their game big. So they're going to probably in. Cleveland was beating Pittsburgh. We're monitoring that game. But somebody on this list gets left off. It could be Miami with a 10-win season not making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we have seen what Miami does best is play defense. The quarterback position, unfortunately, due to COVID, Fitzpatrick wasn't able to play today. And I think Fitzpatrick gave them the best chance of trying to duel it out with the Bills. The Bills played at a high level. They came out early, put up a lot of points, and I think now they have Miami kind of behind the 8 ball, and I think Miami's going to be the team left off that list when you talk about AFC playoffs.
And speaking of 8 ball, one of the teams holding the pool cue right now are the Ravens. People have said, oh, this is the Ravens we thought we were going to see in September, and they're clearing the table right now, the pool balls, playing the Bengals today, but they're wiping them out. So it looks like they're going to make it in. Then the later game today, which is big because the Colts involved there, also the Titans, and who's going to get cleared out of that deal. So 2 games along with this one that are late games in the AFC that will determine the seeding or who gets left out. But the AFC very rich. We're going to have a losing team make it in the NFC. We're going to have a team with double-digit wins not make it in the AFC. But that's the way it's been laid out over the last 2 months.
Like you said, I think the Titans actually lock in on that 4 seed with the win against the Texans. And I think the Colts end up locking in that 7 seed with the win versus the Jags. The Browns and Steelers, that game is still left up to whoever is kind of a coin flip. How things end up with that game is going to determine some seeds. But both of those teams, I think, make the playoffs, the Browns and the Steelers. And like you said, the Ravens is going to probably lock in at that 5 seed, with the Buffalo Bills being the 2 seed and, of course, us the 1 seed.
And what's interesting, the Browns, who are beating the Steelers now, the last we checked, they might be playing again right away, which would make things intriguing. You take a look now at Justin Herbert, the outstanding rookie quarterback of the Chargers, out getting his warm-ups in. He's going to have a beat-up offensive line today. We did not show you the Charger inactives, but that is a significant list. They're going to be missing 9 players, 7 starters. In fact, Herbert will not have either one of his starting tackles in this game. There's your inactives for the Chargers. Brian Balaga, right tackle, is out. Left tackle, Sam Tevy, out. So that could open up the door for some pass rush for the Chiefs. Mike Dana comes to mind here. Alex Okafor will play in this game. And a guy like Tim Ward, he wears number 90. You don't know who he is? We saw him at training camp like, dude, slow down. Do not injure Patrick Mahomes. Today, you turn him loose.
Tim Ward is is another version of Passano. He's a guy who you didn't know about it, but when you see him, his length, he's so effective getting in the backfield, explosive off the line of scrimmage. All this young man needs is a little opportunity and a chance to play. And I think today's opportunity, even though he's not going against their starting tackles, he's going to be a big difference maker to our defensive line, getting some penetration. And I think you might get to a point in this game where if you're the Chargers, you're thinking about the future of Herbert, you might need to pull him before the game is over because we get so much pressure on him as the game goes on.
Let's look at these defensive guys, other ones to watch. Turk Wharton, again, a guy that's played, but he's going to have way more responsibility today. Willie Gay Jr., can he back it up? When you look at Bo Peep Keys, he's only played like 11 defensive snaps this year. He will probably start at corner. And DeAndre Baker, a first-round draft pick of the New York Giants in 2019, played 15 games for the Giants as a rookie. There was some off-field issues. He was cut by the New York Giants. We now have more clarity on some of those off-field issues. The Chiefs were able to claim DeAndre Baker. Fans have said, what do you got? What do you got? We're going to see that today. So, let's take the corners. Bo Peep Keys.
We're talking about technique. We're talking about mirror, being able to jam, being able to dislocate, reroute receivers. The things that Coach Spag asked the starting corners to do, we're going to expect these guys to do the same thing. When you're talking about being your first corner versus a backup corner, it's no deficit in talent. It's not like these guys who are playing today they don't run as fast, they don't have the same ball skills. It's just about the opportunity and the consistency they play with. So what these guys should go out here to do today with the mindset and the focus, show some consistency to your leverage, knowing where your help is, and being able to communicate and trust each other. If they can do those things, it gives Coach Spags, it gives Coach House, it gives Coach Madison and those guys, Coach Merritt, a lot of confidence in those guys even heading into the playoffs.
Justin Herbert today will not only have either one of his starting tackles, he will not have Keenan Allen. He is on the COVID list. We know 5th in the league in receptions, multi-time Pro Bowler. He will not have his top tight end, Hunter Henry. He's also on the COVID list. But they do have Mike Williams, one of the best high-point receivers in the National Football League. Remember his 50-yard catch in Mexico City last year against the Chiefs. These corners that we talked about are going to have to deal with some high-point plays. Herbert will just throw it up and let Mike Williams go get it.
Man, if I'm a young corner, I love the tall, linky, high-point type receivers. It's the jitterbug ones that kind of, they become very elusive. But the tall guys like Mike Williams, it gives these guys a chance to really get their hands on them, reroute them for that first 5 yards, and really get themselves where they own the down. You got to own the down early to get the quarterback eyes off of a receiver like Mike Williams. If he can stay with Mike Williams 2 and 3 seconds down the field and throw it to him for a high-point ball, it becomes one-on-one, 50-50 ball, that's where it becomes advantage Mike Williams. But up until that point, I think our young guys got a really good chance of really stabbing, adjusting, rerouting, and dominating him at the line of scrimmage.
Again, this game matters. Why? 90 Tim Ward, 51 Mike Dana, 98 Turk Wharton, 30 DeAndre Baker, 29 Bo Peep Keys, the guys you saw on the list defensively. On the offensive side, to me, it is the offensive line that is going to be really interesting to watch because it's kind of a mix and match on the offensive side. But it's also a situation where you're going to give additional responsibility to guys who have played. Let's just look at a Darwin Thompson. He's played. He hadn't played a lot since the fumble against the Ravens, but you're going to give him a lot of responsibility today. The tight ends, Nick Keiser and Deion Yelder, you're going to rest Kelsey. Those guys, what do you have? What are you going to show? Look at here. Here's our offensive list. And I'm going to ask you about Durant on the offensive line. The rookie out of Mizzou's had to step in emergency situations and done okay. That's one thing. Another is to block Jerry Tillery all day long.
D-Train, like you said, is going to have a big game out the backfield, being able to rest some of our running backs. But Byron Pringle, OK State guy, man, he's always shown up in some of the biggest moments for some of the biggest games for us. And I think today is the time for him to let it be known that he is actually a NFL quality receiver. No more reserve needs to be put by his name. He can actually show, and today will be a time for him to really showcase his abilities and his skills. But like you said, the offensive line, that's where we've been a little bit mismatched. We've been able to really infiltrate and kind of rearrange that all season long due to some injuries with back injuries and different things like that. So we definitely want to see who's the guys we're going to be able to count on throughout the playoffs to make sure we have an opportunity and a chance to get all the way through the playoffs and end up in Tampa Bay with a running back tour.
Fascinating game today, and yes, it's reason to pay attention. Another reason to pay attention is maybe you have seen the opponent for the future. Justin Herbert has already set an NFL rookie record for touchdown passes, the Chargers quarterback. Our Matt McMullen had a chance to sit down with national writer Terez Paylor for his review and analysis of Charger rookie quarterback Justin Herbert.
I'm joined by Terez Paylor here of Yahoo Sports. And Terez, I want to ask you about Justin Herbert. Could be the rookie of the year in the NFL this year. 28 touchdowns, that's an NFL record. More than 4,000 passing yards. And also 7 games with 300 or more passing yards this season. He's been really, really good. What do you make of Justin Herbert this year?
Really impressed with his overall physical gifts, right? tremendous arm strength. I mean, you turn on the tape, this guy's throwing bullets all over the field. Like his arm strength is real. Like there's only a few guys in the league since 2000 that I give the Brett Favre, like it's a missile sound to. It's Mahomes is one of them, but Herbert is another. So when he throws some passes, I might do the little, because he's throwing missiles, right? So that the size, he's 6'6", he's really athletic. He creates with his feet. Like, this is the type of quarterback you need to have a fighting chance against a quarterback like Mahomes. And the Chargers are really in a good position if they can surround him with what's necessary to try to compete with Kansas City going forward.
So we saw him back in week 2. That was his NFL debut. Bit of a surprise in that game, too. We thought Tyrod Taylor would be the starter. Injuries forced Herbert in there at the last second, and he played really well in that game. Haven't seen him since, though. How have you seen him grow since that week 2 matchup?
Well, he's just getting more settled, right? Like, I think the Chiefs had put it this way, the Chiefs had more success heating him up than a lot of teams have. Like, you want to throw bodies at this guy, but, like, I watched Oakland try to do this to him a couple weeks. Vegas. God,
happens every time.
That's still Oakland to me, man. I'm sorry. Like, the Raiders are Oakland, but I saw the Raiders try to heat this guy up, and they were getting around him, and it's just missiles all over the place. I'm like, God, this guy's a rookie doing this? So he's gotten a lot better throwing under pressure than he did since that first game, and he plays with a lot more poise too. So this guy is good. This guy's legitimately good. I want people to understand that. Like, it's like, think of him as a less error-prone rookie Josh Allen. That's what it's like. And he's probably a better thrower than Josh was then. Like, this guy's good.
You'll probably see him for probably a decade to come here in the AFC West. Should make some good battles between Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Of course, Chad Henne in this one, but certainly looking forward to those in the future. Now, you mentioned the Chiefs had some success heating up Herbert in that Week 2 matchup. A few other teams that have found success against him. Miami had some success against him earlier this year. New England, they shut out the Chargers earlier this season. Denver also picked him off a few times. For those teams that have found success against Herbert, what's kind of the recipe for slowing him down?
You just want to mix it up your coverages a little bit, give him something he hasn't seen. And, stunts, blitzes, run some games. Like, you got to get creative with your pressures. You do want to try to heat him up because he's like Mahomes in the sense that if you just sit back there and you play coverage behind it, that guy's going to pick you apart. Now, with Mahomes, you'll take it because otherwise you'll be down 30-0, right? But with Herbert, you want to mix in a little bit more coverage and some of your zone stuff and maybe throw some stuff at him he hasn't seen. But that's the key. Ideally, you can get pressure with 4. If you can't, you do choose to bring 5 or more, you better get home because his arm talent allows him to put the ball in places a lot of guys can't.
Awesome stuff as always, Therese. Really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Mitch, back to you.
And a look back at the warm-ups. Chad Henne will start today at quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. It is his first start at quarterback since, get this, September 21st, 2014. He lost to Jacksonville that day, 44-17. He got pulled for Blaine Gabbert. His last start and win was December the 5th, 2013, with Jacksonville against Houston. But we've seen enough from Chad Henne when he's had to step in and play, whether it's last year in the preseason before he got injured or when he's had to fill in for Patrick Mahomes. There's enough in Chad Henne to win this game today, don't you think, Shawn?
Definitely, and you see a shot right there, Coach Andy Reid. I don't think he's going to ask Henne to do anything special. It's not time to put on the Superman cape and you got to go out and do all these things. Just run the offense the way it's been coached. The coaching philosophy has been very simple. It's a simple game plan put together. We want to get the ball in the hand of our playmakers and let them run with the ball afterwards. Like we said, Kelsey's not going to be there. Ten's not going to be there. A lot of guys are not going to be there. But we still have some playmakers when you talk about Robinson, you talk about D-Train, you talk about D. Williams, Yelder, tight end. We got the sausage, Sherman. We're gearing up we're getting the sausage ready to roll. So, man, we got so many guys we look forward to having a chance to see actually get on the field and make some plays. I can't wait.
70 games, 53 starts for Henne when you look back at his career. But he was really good in the 2019 preseason. Remember, he got seriously injured in the Green Bay game, the last preseason game, so that shelved him for last year. And then Matt Moore, who's now on the backup, he was signed off the practice squad yesterday afternoon. He'll be the backup today. Patrick Mahomes inactive. Damian Wilson will play. It's interesting we give you this shot because Wilson, who's missed the last 3 games at linebacker, will play today. Here's what's interesting. He and Willie Gay Jr. are the 2 front guys here as we see as the Chiefs getting ready to come out the tunnel. What's big about that? The responsibility of those 2 guys today at linebacker. The veteran Wilson, you got to be Hitch. You got to be Hitch. And Willie Gay Jr., you got to be the new Derek Johnson. It's elevating their status to see what they can do. That's why I get fired up about this game.
Hey, man, they say every game matters, every snap counts. When you talk about a defensive mindset, the way our defense needs to get rolling, the way they communicate with one another, there's no time to lay down your lawyers. You never lay down your armor. You never lay down your weapons. Our defensive linebackers, they're going to gear it up. Like you said, Wilson and Willie Gay, they're going to be going. They're going to be communicating. They're going to be getting our defensive line set up and ready to go attack. And you need the guys that are out there ready to go to be able to go. And so Wilson, hey, man, he's ready to go. Let's knock the rust off. Let's get ready to go. We've seen what happens when Willie Gay gets moving. He's an attack animal. He's a dog. He goes out there sideline to sideline. He chases everything down. I love seeing 5-0 chasing the ball from sideline to sideline. 55 and 95, they'll give us some leadership from the sideline. Like I said, a lot of extra coaching is going to be available on the sideline when you talk about Chris Jones and Frank Clark.
Here's the thing about Chris Jones. People are going, wait a minute, Stone Cold going to play? No, he's not. He's suited up. You got to suit up enough guys, but you just saw his energy. These are the guys, too, I'm really interested in. Kilgore starting at center. It looks like Durant will start at right guard. Omame, the veteran, will start at right tackle. The left guard will be Wisniewski. He started Super Bowl 54. And at left tackle, Martinez Rankin will start at left tackle. Remember, he hasn't played since he injured his knee in the Tennessee game in the second week of November a year ago. Those guys now haven't played together. Some of them haven't played at all or much or in the roles that they're in. But they got to give Chad Henne, get them into some offensive rhythm.
Hey, man, like I said, it comes down to basic fundamentals and the elements of where the core of this offense lies. The core of this offense is play calling. It's going to be nice, basic, simple, fundamental. It's going to be line of scrimmage. Who's going to move the line of scrimmage? I think when it comes down to it, our Chiefs' offensive line and defensive line are going to demand the line of scrimmage today, and that's where we're going to win the ball game.
Shop, here we go. Yes, pay attention to this game. Yes, it matters for the Chiefs Kingdom, not only today, but for the playoffs and in the future. On our radio broadcast, we're going to continue this show, basically, and tell you why, who's playing where, and why. So get ready to go. Get ready to run it back. This is the Runner Back Starter Pack. It is available tomorrow at the Chiefs Pro Shop. You can go online to get it at Chiefs.com. But you got koozies, you got the packs, you got the flags. Get ready, Chiefs. Get your Run It Back Starter Pack starting tomorrow, and get ready to run it back starting today. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Field Pass.